Nee, das kann I got the power of it.
Yeah. That's what I should. The decision is going to get not I will be rusty. You go.
Ich hab gedacht. Wunderbar. Danke dir.
Das ist dann auch noch.
Ja, maar zo zou ik nog eens een als Mac-User.
Okay. Man muss ganz nah.
Ja, also wenn es wirklich losgeht, natürlich wäre es gut, wenn du nicht direkt da stehst, weil die Kamera ist. Ich weiß, es ist ein bisschen blöd, weil da auf dem Laptop steht, aber das ist auch schwierig, ich möchte das eigentlich auch nicht
Okay, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today here at our conference about current opportunities and challenges within the AI ecosystem. So, AI has been around for a really long time by now, a couple centuries, but it's only in the recent couple of years that it really gained a lot of traction and hype again, and became really relevant and impactful in all kinds of areas, and not just IT or academia, but also finance or logistics, the service industry, automobile industry, health, games, legislation. So it's really being used as a tool for all kinds of areas by now. The reason we're here today, and which is also one of our core missions here at AIDA, is to connect all the different areas and actors with each other. Because the whole AI ecosystem is still very fragmented, and both from the outside and the inside, it can be difficult to have a complete overview and grasp all the facets and the interconnectedness of the whole field of AI. And also from the inside, a lot of people working with AI, they are very often shielded into specific subdomains with limited links to the great variety of different actors and entities in the field. So today we have multiple people, multiple guests and speakers here from a great variety of all kinds of fields. that all work with AI in one way or another. And we are keen to hear a bit more about their approach and their perspective. And we also want to hear their reflection on a few AI-related general questions. So the evening today consists of two parts. The first part is the introduction part, where each of our guests briefly introduces themselves and gives some insights into their expertise and their focus area. And afterwards we get together and have a podium discussion where we together reflect on a few crucial general AI-related questions. So before we start, I would like to very briefly introduce myself and keep it very short. I'm Matthias, and I have a background and I'm into data science, behavioral sciences, and finance. And here at AIDA, I'm responsible for all kinds of technical aspects and tasks, and I will lead you through the evening today. So the first guest I would like you to introduce is Elena Gabriela Ardelian. She is the founder of AIDA, the Artificial Intelligence Development Agency. She has worked for a lot of different organizations and governments all across Europe and the Middle East, such as the World Bank. And today she will give us an introduction about herself and about what AIDA is. Please welcome Elena.
Thank you very much, Matthias. I'm always challenged by the technology, although I deal with technology. Thank you. Let's give him a round of applause as well. I think he gave us a really very good start. Thank you, Matthias. Thanks again. All right. So we are here today, as Maria has said, to talk about artificial intelligence and various challenges and opportunities in the or within the AI ecosystem. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for being here tonight, for sharing this amazing evening with us. We have a double purpose. The first one is to launch officially AIDA, and I will tell you a little bit later what we are doing and what AIDA is about. And the second one, of course, to have this conference. So thank you very much for being here. I would also like to thank to the Angewandte Innovation Lab for hosting us today. It wouldn't have been possible for us to have this conference or to offer it for free without their support. So many thanks for them, and of course many thanks for the speakers. Some of them come from far away, from Madrid or from Berlin or from Graz. They came especially for you guys, for you tonight, to bring to you the highest standard of presentation, of research, of work in the AI. So, if you wonder who we are and what we do at AIDA, AIDA stands first of all for AI for Development Agency. So we are a social enterprise based here in Austria, in Vienna, which aims to help citizens, help societies understand better what artificial intelligence is and how they can use it in their own benefit. We have truly a vision which is to create a better tomorrow in which opportunities are equally distributed, and we are all prepared for the future of work because, as many of you may know, we believe that artificial intelligence is the future, and we all need to understand a little bit better what it is and acquire certain skills, or at least help our children or help future generations to acquire needed skills for the future of work. So our journey started at the beginning of this year, in 2018, when Elena, myself, Matthias and Corina met after an AI event that I attended. A little bit of background that maybe for myself. So I'm an economist, basically. I have studied here in Vienna, but also in Paris, in France. And after that, I have worked, as Maria has said, in many organizations, international organizations, but also as a consultant in ICT. So implementing ICT projects and being very close and in touch with technology in general, with programmers, developers. And this was something that really opened my eyes into change and transformation, and made me feel more and more passionate about transformation and change, and especially these changes induced by technology. So looking more recently, looking more and more into artificial intelligence, and after attending, as I said, many events related to this, I realized very quickly that, especially at the events I was going to, but not only, I was going to almost the same events, or these events were attended by the same people. And I got the feeling that we were living in a bubble. So the same people were discussing about artificial intelligence, but this was something that never really got out of the walls and never really went on the streets and never really got down to the citizens where it should be, in our opinion. So we started discussing about this. The three of us, we started to be concerned about the fact that technological wisdom, we got the feeling that technological wisdom was growing much faster than the societal wisdom, than the capacity of the society to absorb this change and adapt itself to this change. Now, you could say, okay, well, maybe it's not the responsibility of the society to adapt, it can be the responsibility of the government. Well, the government cannot do everything and doesn't have enough capacity to do it. If you look at the private sector, neither the private sector can do everything, and maybe is not interested in doing everything, and so on and so forth. So we thought that, and we felt that there was a huge gap between what we were learning and discussing at these events, and what people knew on the streets, and schools were teaching, and even universities were teaching. And then if you, at the national level, and then if you think about at the global level, we still have people on planet Earth who are not connected to internet. They don't have internet, and then how can they catch up with our talks about artificial intelligence when they do not even have access to internet? So we really found there was a huge gap there that needed to be completed, and that there was a need for us to actually to come together and put something in place, put a structure in place, and start working on it. Not waiting for others to do it for us, but start working on it with our resources and with our capacities. So we started, the three of us, at the beginning of this year, as I said, and now we are present on 3 continents and on 8 countries. I'm very proud to announce this, and I'm very happy to also introduce to you each of the team members that we have co-opted more recently. So we have in Cameroon, we have Olive. She is our community development manager. In Cameroon, we have Norman, who is our social media manager. And in Romania, we have our campaign manager, Ana Maria. In Vietnam, we have Tao, our head research and development. And then for the fundraising coordinator, we have co-opted Shah. And we also have Shafina in Bangladesh, dealing with communications in general. These are people that feel inspired by our mission, feel inspired by our vision, and engage with us at AIDA. So I know they are watching online, and just like to say a big hello to them, and thank you once again for your support so far. Let's give them a round of applause, please, from here, from Vienna. Thank you. Alright, so why we matter, I already touched a little bit upon this. Well, AI is impacting all aspects of our lives. Apart from the fact that government and private sector cannot do everything, there is a question of perception, a question of fears among the population, among those who are maybe disinformed, that has to be tackled, and we need to address that as well. And I realize that AI still remains unknown for many of us, and many citizens, and also many countries, many governments which are not ready to absorb this change and maybe put in place the right policies. Then of course artificial intelligence, if you think that it impacts health, it impacts education, it impacts marketing, it impacts the way we do business, the way we learn, it is of course also, or has a direct link to the SDG and development, the progress on the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. And then, of course, as I said again, the future of work is also shaped and is impacted by artificial intelligence, and there has to be, we see that there has to be a lot of trainings around that, there has to be a lot of communication, and this is what we try to do at AIDA. So there are solutions, of course, there are other organizations dealing with that, there are governments, like the Finnish government, when working very forward, being a very forward-looking actor and putting in place various online trainings, public, accessible to everybody. There are good examples that can be followed, but still these initiatives are fragmented and they do not address the whole picture, and apart from that they do not address something which we think is very important, the fact that artificial intelligence, in our opinion, is not a national challenge, it is a global challenge. It has no borders, basically, and for now we are looking at it very much at the national level or a regional level, but I think we should take this out of our walls and engage widely and engage globally on this challenge. So we have basically 3 key dimensions. So we are global and inclusive in terms of our team composition, but also in terms of our actions, and I will talk a little bit about that later. We empower youth, but not only, but we think youth is the future, of course, and they need to be supported in preparing themselves for their lives and for the future of work overall. And we think that through our actions we can also foster trust in AI, trust in the society. As I said, this new technology or new change brings a lot of fears and disinformation and misperceptions, and we want with our actions to tackle that challenge and help people get closer to artificial intelligence, to technology, understand what it is, and help them use it in their own benefit. What we offer are 3 components, so consulting services, for government, but also for the private sector, and knowledge products, and also skills development programs. So basically training in there. And some of our recent work, a lot of it is done in the Middle East, in Kuwait, because I've been living in Kuwait for a few months now. And when I went to Kuwait, basically nobody really talked about artificial intelligence, not even the government or the private sector. So there was very, very little discussion about it. And our mission is to create a movement around artificial intelligence and talk wherever we go about it and communicate it to people. This is what I also did in Kuwait. So I engaged with the local community to start 3 things. The first one was a series of meetups where we bring together people from different backgrounds and with different levels who want to talk and understand what artificial intelligence is. The second one is engaging with the government and the business councils, the French, the Canadian, the German Business Council, on this topic and how, on the way they can use artificial intelligence in implementing or defining policies at the government level, or introducing this technology in the business sector. And the third activity that we started is the AI Family Challenge. What is the AI Family Challenge? The AI Family Challenge is a worldwide competition which is organized by Technovation Families. This is an international NGO. They offer online training programs. It's basically a hands-on training program for families. So the way it works for 6 months. We bring families together, parents and children, where they learn about artificial intelligence. They learn how to program a little agent, an AI agent, and develop a solution which is aimed to solve a problem in their own community. That can be water management, waste management, whatever they identify as problematic in their community. So in Kuwait we recruited 10 families. That's about 30-40 people in total participating in our training. They are very excited. We have the sessions every second week. So they join us, have a lot of fun, and apart from that, apart from learning about artificial intelligence, what we do with this type of training is changing the mindset, and changing the mindset within the family and also at the children or school level. And this is very important in this being key element in our engagement at AIDA. So, this is it from my side. You will have the pleasure to to hear me or hear my little interventions during the talks. Thank you once again for being here tonight, and hope we'll have a beautiful debate. Our speakers are ready for your good questions. Thank you. Thanks once again.
Thank you, Elena, for your great introduction.
Thank you.
I would like to welcome our amazing guest speakers now and introduce them to you. Please welcome our guest speakers. Okay, so let's start with Alexandra. Alexandra Ebert is responsible for client relations and external affairs at Mostly.ai. She wrote a master thesis on machine learning and the GDPR, which talks about the impact of the GDPR on the development of machine learning in the EU and its economic and societal and technological consequences. Because of course the GDPR made it a lot more difficult for companies to work with machine learning and do personalization, so she really looked into that aspect. Now she is part of a company called Mostly.ai, which is developing new anonymization technologies and empowers businesses to unlock their big data assets without putting their customers' privacy at risk. Please welcome Alexandra.
While the presentation is being downloaded, it's a pleasure to be here tonight. My name is Alexandra Ebert. As mentioned beforehand, my expertise lies in data protection and implications on AI and machine learning in the European Union. At Mostly.ai, we have found a novel solution to deal with this issue. We do enable organizations to create synthetic customers, which is a new form of big data anonymization technology that is needed for two reasons. One of these reasons being, as mentioned, that nowadays it has become increasingly difficult to use AI to develop digital products due to GDPR, due to all the data protection regulations in the world, and of course because it's important to protect the privacy of your customers. Theoretically, anonymized data would be a solution for this issue. But the problem is that classic anonymization in the area of big data simply doesn't work anymore. Why is that? One reason is that classic anonymization techniques destroy information. In this case, you maybe can guess who this person is, so there was not enough information destroyed, but the more you destroy, of course, the protection gets better. the slide doesn't get better, but it doesn't matter. If you want to use it for AI training, it really decreases the utility of your data assets. So this is actually not what companies want out there, because they want to retain as much information as possible. The even bigger problem with classic anonymization techniques is that despite so much information is destroyed, it's still easy to re-identify individuals. So for example, there have been several studies conducted that, for example, if you go for mobile phone signals, these signals that telecommunication companies collect of each and everyone here in this room, and it's about 100, 1,000 signals per individual per day, only 2 of the signals are sufficient to re-identify 50% of the people here in this room. So as you can see, there's not much information companies can use and can share until it's too risky that their customers could be re-identified. So this severely restricts the utility of the data assets these companies have. And the problem is, classic anonymization doesn't work anymore. The scientific community is well aware of this issue. In the business area, in the business context, we see many big companies out there that think classic anonymization is everything they have to do, and they're really sharing your data without making sure that you're protected as one of their customers. And the consequence is, if they use classic anonymization techniques that, despite so much information being collected, only a tiny fraction of this information can be used for innovative purposes. And this makes it increasingly hard for all these companies out there to become customer-centric, to become data-driven, and develop new products for their clients, which is perceived as a big challenge for all of these large corporations within the European Union, but also in the United States or in the Asian area, for example. And the solution for this is actually synthetic data, because this new technology solves both of these issues. On the one hand, it retains nearly all of the information and all of the value in the data asset, while at the same time making it impossible that anybody can be re-identified. How does this work? We like to explain it with some research NVIDIA did with synthetic faces. What NVIDIA did was they trained AI algorithms on human faces up to the point where the algorithm knew how a human face looked. And then you can use these algorithms to generate synthetic faces, like these 2 people. So they're completely realistic. Everybody here would think they're real, but they aren't, they're synthetic. And we at Mostly AI transformed this approach to business data, so healthcare data, financial transaction, retail data, whatever type of data companies collect. And how does this work? We have a software that's installed in the environment of our clients, and this uses generative AI and is capable of automatically learning all of the structures, all of the correlations, all of the patterns, all of the time dependencies in a customer data set, so basically all the behaviors and actions of the customers, to then, once this is learned, generate synthetic customers out of it. These synthetic customers have all the same structures, correlations, time dependencies, behaviors as the original customers, but as they are generated from scratch, these aren't real people, and therefore they can't be re-identified, and therefore these data sets can be used without any real person being harmed. And this application is not only interesting for several companies, for example, we work with large banks, we work with tech companies, we work in the government sector. It's especially interesting for the society and the healthcare domain, because here one of the biggest obstacles is, for example, in Alzheimer's research, that all this valuable data can't be shared with research organizations at the granular level that's needed to really get insights about how a disease like Alzheimer's comes into existence. But with synthetic data, this is a possibility to obtain all the statistical information without having the risk that anybody in this data set could be re-identified and could experience some harm because his medical history is exposed to third parties that shouldn't know about it. And this is something I'm personally really excited about. Regarding other use cases for synthetic data, it's so accurate that you can do AI training on synthetic data and apply your algorithms on original data. So this is especially interesting for all the companies that want to make progress in this area or are interested in collaborating with startups to have them develop AI algorithms for them without having to give out sensitive customer information. It's also for data monetization, it's for strategic partnerships. For example, a government organization wants to use synthetic data to get cancer medication for citizens at a lower cost, because synthetic data is so information rich that a pharmaceutical company is willing to give out medication at a lower price because it gets back insights how synthetic data or how the medication is used and what it can do to improve it. And yes, to sum it up, synthetic data is really one of the only technologies out there that helps organizations, being a public organization, being research organizations or enterprises, to do AI and big data innovation faster, cheaper, and without the risk of the privacy of their customers being exposed. And the topic is not something only we here in Austria talk about, it's also technology that's, for example, recognized by Gartner in his recent hype cycle as one of the emerging technologies. Or, for example, the US Census Bureau started publishing synthetic records because they realized that giving out their classically anonymized information made it possible to re-identify the identities of some American citizens. And therefore, we strongly believe that synthetic data is really the way forward to not only be innovative and make progress in the AI domain, because everybody knows we can't skip on that, but also preserve the privacy of our customers and keep trust in companies and organizations and government organizations intact. Yes, so this is our team. We're currently 11 people here based in Vienna, but we're working in the United States, we're working in the Asian market, and we're working with several large enterprises and government organizations in the European Union. So this was my slide deck. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm giving back to our moderator.
Thank you, Alexandra, for giving these insights and showcasing how it's still possible to do big data analysis while retaining privacy, which is something that is being more and more demanded by people and becoming very relevant in today's society. Our next guest speaker is Johanna Teresa Wallenborn. She's a curator, communicator, and co-founder of the State Studio in Berlin. She has a background in philosophy, psychology, and media, and likes to cultivate interdisciplinary approaches between the creative use and technology and the misuse of it. She has founded an open project space in Berlin called Lehrter 17, which is a platform and exhibition space for applied arts, showcasing projects at the intersection of technology, design, architecture, and sound. Since then, she has also curated and led projects for the Goethe Institute, the Platoon Kunsthalle, the No Forum for Digital Arts, and the Daniel Liebeskind or State in Mexico, in Seoul, and in Berlin. Please welcome Johanna.
Hi everybody, thank you so much for having me. So I would like to give a short overview of what we're doing in Berlin. Thanks for introducing me. My name is Johanna. I work as a curator and I'm a co-founder of State Studio. As you already introduced me, I think I can almost skip that slide. So I'm running a space in Berlin at the intersection of art, science, and innovation. It's called State Studio, and we started in 2014 as a festival, the first festival of open science in Berlin, and continued with another edition in 2016. And in 2017, we were invited to Los Angeles, where we ran a pop-up gallery for 2 months with an exhibition program on artificial intelligence. That's also the time I think we kind of fell in love with the idea of having a space and continuing a discourse with our audience. Since October 2017, we are running State Studio in Berlin, and we're running an exhibition program, and we are in an event space as well. And we try to explore current developments in research through an exhibition program, workshops, and panels, and try to create an open dialogue around current findings in scientific research. Yeah, so maybe a little bit about our background or our mission. Yeah, we opened the space with a firm belief that we do live in a very special time right now where things are changing at an unforeseen pace, and through digitization, genome editing, virtual reality, blockchain, artificial intelligence, I think the world around us is changing, and we can all agree to that. And at the same time, we believe that technology is a tool that can be valuable if it's put to the right use. So we believe that creativity and imagination is an important way to figure out how we actually want to use this tool. And this is why we work with artists, and we try to question the status quo, try to explore different possibilities, new possibilities, and also maybe speculate on positive future scenarios. So yeah, so maybe a little thought experiment. So starting from our current perspective and technological possibilities, we are right now in Vienna in the present. And what kind of distinguishes us from other mammals is that we have the possibility to anticipate action, we can foresee action, and we can imagine things that are not there. And who's best at doing so? We believe artists are best at doing so. So what you see in the yellow circle is basically, we are in the present right now, and everything that is yellow is everything that is possible in our imagination. However, how do we decide from speculation to what's actually realizable, and who's best at that? We believe scientists are best at that because they can distinguish myth from reality. So what you see in the gray line is basically a portion of the distinguishing the impossible from the possible. As a society, we gather in collectives, and we have discourse and dialogues, and we discuss what we like and what we don't like. And what you see in blue is the future point of what society maybe wants. So through dialogue and discourse, this is a possible path that we can take. And how do we make these things happen? We believe that business makes things possible, entrepreneurship, actually putting things out there in the world. So our idea is that through these four components, we can maybe speculate on a positive future, and we try to employ these factors when working in our programs and drafting our exhibitions. So I brought a couple of examples on how we try to stimulate a discourse, how we try to engage a broader public in a discourse on current technologies and research. And one of these projects was a project by the Ministry for Business and Energy, where we invited 80 people from the creative industries, from the different backgrounds, to work in a hackathon with AI programmers at different institutions, such as the Natural Museum of the Museum of Natural History in Berlin. We had different programmers there, and each of the institutions brought a case study. And the workshop participants had no prior knowledge of AI and worked together with programmers to come up with possible solutions on future scenarios. Another project for which I brought a couple of examples is we went to the UN, actually also where we met Elena for the first time, where we implemented the first exhibition at the United Nations at the AI for Good Summit, where we brought artists in to kind of stimulate a new thought on AI and show new perspectives on how AI technologies can be used. Because while AI offer on a technological level a lot of new possibilities in making artworks, it's at the same time in the creation of context and maybe in the negotiation of what matters to us as a society, where the work of artists, or the true meaning of the work of artists, start to emerge. So yeah, we believe yeah, we believe that there's a lot of societal questions around the implementation of AI, and art offers a great facilitation and mediation to engage the broader public into this discourse. So I would like to show you two artworks actually that we brought to AI for Good. Can I open this? So this is an artwork by Christian Leclerc. He's a Berlin-based programmer, and he asked himself, could an AI actually develop a consciousness? What we see here is the basic hardware needed to run a simple algorithm. The hardware is sitting is connected to a mirror, and on the back of the screen we have a scan camera, and the algorithm was trained with a data set of different pictures, and the camera is trying to basically recognize what it's seeing, so in a more Yeah, so this is just one example on how we try to get a broader public to engage a little bit in a thought experiment of what AI could possibly do in the future for us. I brought another example by Roman Lipsky, an artwork that we also exhibited at AI for Good, and it is more maybe quickly about the artist. He's a painter. He used to be a figurative painter. He suffered from a crisis. He was standing in front of a blank canvas and didn't know what to do anymore. He always dreamed of being an abstract painter, and that's when he met a team of AI developers, Birds on Mars, and they came up with the idea of introducing an artificial muse to his process, which means they trained a generative adversarial network with artworks of his and started introducing new objects. So the AI basically learned his style, his form, his way of stroke, and started generating new work. But the process didn't end there. He used this as a starting point and as an inspiration to create new work. As I'm seeing right now, we're running out of time, so maybe I'll show or explain later. If you're interested, you can always come up to me and I will skip the video for now.
The networking part, of course.
Yeah. So I already talked a little bit about that. We are a state studio. We are doing an exhibition laboratory for science, art, and society. We're based in Berlin. We also we do different kinds of events. We do different kinds of workshops and formats. We do a lot in our gallery space, but we also do things outside of our gallery space. If you're in Berlin, please come by, come say hi, and yeah, thank you very much. Looking forward to this session.
Thank you, Hannah, for your introduction. I think it's very important to also have this kind of perspective and access to it, because very often when you move in AI spaces, there's a very strong and dominant bias into technological aspects and considerations and development. but there's also much more in this. To Hannah showed you, there's also an artistic approach or social considerations, so really happy we have her here also to provide a broader picture to this whole field and how you can approach and access it. Our next guest and speaker is called Luis Gonzalez Lorenzo. He's the CEO of Turing Technologies and advisor for Virgin Hyperloop One and head of human sciences in the Immune Institute. He also recently founded a meetup group in Spain and has an academic background in computer science engineering, in humanities and social sciences, and in project management. He's also currently working on 2 doctoral theses and received a prize called the Innova Plus Prize, given to the best technological innovation in 2016, and currently also participating in the IBM Watson AIX Prize as a team leader, solving complex educational problems. So he's also especially interested in innovation and new media applied to the field of learning. Please welcome Luis.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. I have one slide about my curriculum, but probably we can discuss later. It's in order especially to know what kind of questions could I answer, not more than this. Yeah. I'm also interested in the future. That's why it's something that I think that AI can help in guessing or helping us in guessing how could the possible futures be. And this is also something that I'm trying to implement in my projects. Actually, I'm currently working in many places, very different industries, but it's because I use free time in all of them. That's why you can check that in this website with this domain. I'm talking, my plan is to talk to you today about how not to do AI, because we have been trying for many years to do something with impact and remarkable in AI, and so far we didn't achieve it. I think that we know why, so probably it's a good idea to share with you. The first project I would like to show you today has been run from my company, Turing Technologies. You can imagine what kind of things we do there. We use technology and especially AI for education, not for education. I prefer to use learning because it's not the same. Probably it's the opposite, depending on how you measure that. We have also the help from Amazon Web Services. So the problem was not the processing power or the capacity, the technological capacity that we have. And also we count on an NGO called Plan International that help us in testing and making datasets, big datasets in many different countries, because our idea was to have impact in the whole world, not only in the fields that we are used to help, which are rich people in rich countries, especially in Madrid, in Spanish and universities. So it's something very narrow, and this time we decided to do something bigger. We joined this X Prize, IBM Watson AI X Prize. Probably you know about X Prize. If you don't know, you definitely have to check it. They try to solve big challenges, and this challenge was very open. You can choose what challenge you want to solve, but you have to use AI. So we decide, as we have been 20 years, when I say we, it's about 40 people, we are a lot of people. We have been a lot of years working in education and learning. We decided to join this prize. We were so excited that we also joined this other prize. It's from Good AI. Marek Prosa is probably something that you will hear about if you like AI. This is a very difficult challenge that tries to develop the first artificial general intelligence, AIDA, not a narrow general intelligence that do one thing. As you can imagine, in this second challenge, no one passed the first phase. We, of course, didn't pass, but it was very funny to try to do our system work as an artificial general intelligence. Our system is a conversational system, and we try to help every single person in the world when Elena said at the beginning that there are people in the planet that has no internet, we discovered that it's the 51% of the planet. So there are more people without internet than with internet. But our plan was to help 100% through AI. So we try to figure out other solutions like radio. You can use AI through the radio and through other things. If you want, we can discuss later. But we try to know what do you have to know. And when I say you, is 100% of the population in the world. We try to work in this yellow side. These are the things that you know. I know what I know. I also know what I don't know. I don't know Russian, so I can make a course of Russian. But the problem, the things that really could help me, are the things that I don't know. Imagine that for me this is a kind of recommendation course. You have to know more about blockchain or about CRISPR or all these things. But in the development world, this can change your life. There are many people, probably there are many places where hunger is because they don't know that there are kind of soils and they are making crops of things that are not good for that soil. And if you don't know that you don't know about soils, you can ask someone, probably someone near, you don't need even Google. So our idea is to provide the best question for every single person, not the best answer. And of course, if I have to know what you don't know, I have to know everything. And here start the problems, you can imagine. With the help of this NGO, we had a very interesting test and experiment, because all of these were experiments. For instance, in Syria, we discovered that there are many people that like mathematics and all this kind of, if you remember the colors, all these kind of things. Probably there are something that we call the wall. The wall is the thing you have to break in order to improve your knowledge. And the sooner you know where is your wall, the sooner you improve your life. And we try to do that with, at the first step, with a chatbot, trying to know yourself and providing you the best question, and go to Google to look for it or ask for an expert. This morning we discussed about what happens if the thing that I don't know, and we prioritize, the system prioritizes that this is the first thing I have to solve if no one knows about that. So probably the best solution there was to connect with the right people, the people you have to connect with in order to discover that or to research about that. So some lessons there is that we try to go too far. We even had the gut to develop the meaningful learning equation, which works with some tricks. So we can show you how it works, but it doesn't work for everyone. But probably the project was too big for that moment, because the AGI, probably this was something more related with AGI that particularly was too difficult. So we learned about, if we keep as simple as possible, probably we can improve more. We have split this project in many other projects. One of them is something that we are starting this Monday, next Monday. Officially is already in the Amazon store of skills. We developed a small skill. Have you ever heard about Alexa skills? It's something that you put into Alexa. Alexa knows how to do a lot of things. You put one skill about your master, about your company, about whatever you want, and now, from this moment, Alexa can talk to you about that. And we developed a skill for one master in Spain. It's probably 300 guys doing this master for 1 year. And we had the idea that as now everyone can talk to machines, probably when you are taking a master or you are taking a study, the only thing you really want from your big platform and the big system that you have to check the contents is what we have to do today. I don't need any other all that buttons, and so we remove all the interfaces, we use only the voice, and we do only 4 things. This is the skill. If you want to try it, of course, it's open until Monday, and Monday we can provide demo if you want. And this skill is the opposite to the first project I showed you. Only make 4 things. What are my grades? What do I have to do today? What are the news in the program? How can I develop activities? We are exploring about how to receive audio exams or audio activities for the exam. So this is the kind of projects that usually work for us, not the other ones so big. And I will be happy to share with you more ideas if you want in the networking part. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Luis, for the introduction, and really impressive to have such a wide variety of activities and just this global perspective and outlook. Really great, thanks for sharing. Our next speaker is Sebastian Dennerlein. He is a postdoc researcher at TU Graz and a business developer at the Know Center. He studied psychology and did his PhD in the area of technology-enhanced learning and workplace learning in distributed and collaborative contexts. In the past, he was deputy head of the social computing research team at the Know Center, and he has published more than 15 papers, including articles in journals such as Computers in Education or the British Journal of Educational Technology. He was also active in conferences such as the European Conference on Technology-Enhanced Learning or Web Science. Besides that, Sebastian is also an executive board member of the Knowledge Management Forum Graz. Please welcome Sebastian.
So I come a little bit closer, otherwise I get a stiff neck, I think. It was already a very detailed introduction, so I skipped the introductory slide. For a second. I mean, I can start. Okay, artificial intelligence, as we've heard from the speakers just before, is ubiquitous in our personal and professional life. Knowledge about and competences in artificial intelligence, that is AI literacy, is basically central to society and workforce. For the workforce of tomorrow, it is enormously important to be AI literate to use the technologies of tomorrow. Let me give you two examples. Together with Ditego, we developed a shop floor recommendation system, which is based on RFID data and basically helps the shop floor manager to know when to position a certain article where in the shop floor. And to interpret the shop floor recommendations right, it's important to understand the underlying measures, for example. On the other hand, we developed together with Porsche Austria a market forecasting tool, and there it's important to select the right algorithms to get proper market recommendations and then steer the car imports right. So, working in such jobs wouldn't be possible without AI literacy. Workplace learning is a means to acquire that AI literacy, and it can take place in formal and informal settings. Formal settings are basically pre-structured and curriculum-based, such as university courses or training courses, and informal learning contexts are characterized by being unstructured, by having the need to self-regulate yourself, because it's all outside of these formal learning contexts. Management and HR-driven further education strategies, however, are mostly focused on the formal side, such as it is provided by MOOCs. There are different providers like Lynda and Coursera, but they have the advantage to be easily controllable and traceable in terms of KPIs. So if you want to be just safe and think, oh, my employees learn, then it's quite easy to believe in that. But it doesn't mean that the people actually learn something, connect the knowledge to their workplace, and can actually apply it. So it's not the goal to learn for the sake of learning, but learn to be able to apply what you have learned. And therefore it's important in informal learning to be able to set your own goals, to self-regulate and monitor them over time, update them. And on the other hand, it's important to reflect upon the experience that you had, to reflect upon the received knowledge, to gain the action-oriented knowledge to be able to apply what you've learned as part of your practice. Let me give you a few examples of systems or technologies that help this informal learning. For example, technology can help by supporting documentation. To not forget about your recorded experiences, which are saved in emails, Evernote, and different clouds. We came up with a tool that integrates all of that information in one tool and provides semantic and temporal cues to recall these experiences, which is up here and on the right side. And on the other hand, it helps to elaborate on these experiences by visually categorizing them to gain that action-oriented knowledge. But the downside is, it's just purely individual experiential learning. On the other hand, there are technologies which can support discussions. For example, we built a social Dropbox, I think 5 years ago, and the goal was to not only help with a collaborative organization of such experiences, but on the other hand to come up with multimedia question answering. It's not good to see right now, but the goal was to state questions with respect to resources and answer with resources, so not only text, and come in this way up with a shared understanding, for example. Downside was that it was not focusing on learning goals, which are actually very important in self-regulated learning. Then there's a technology which helps to set the goals and reflects the status about them. And we built then the tool to provide learning prompts, independence of the learning goals and the status, and on the other hand, reflective prompts to deepen that knowledge. However, this technology was just focusing on the formal learning side. And what we identified is that there's a gap of connecting these formal learning contexts, the training context, and the working context. And this is what we want to, are actually currently addressing as we are partnering up with Technovation, formerly known as AIDA. And Ellen already told us a little bit beforehand about it, about your AI Family Challenge in Kuwait. And it's basically a company which has the largest AI literacy and mentoring program in the world. And they actually aim at, with their family challenges, they aim at educating the youngsters of underrepresented minorities together with their families in AI literacy. And this is done with the help of experts from industry. And this is a win-win situation, as the industry is basically financing these AI literacy programs, but at the same time they gain more AI literate experts, because the people that they send there get educated in AI. So the mentors basically that come from industry get a onboarding training in AI literacy. They are mostly coming not. Let me give you an example. This is, for example, NVIDIA, that is a company that is funding these AI family challenges. And the administrative and the person, for example, doesn't have the AI knowledge. And sometimes they are embarrassed working as the technologists that come up with these technologies, but they don't understand it. So at the beginning, on the formal side, they get a training first, and afterwards they teach the kids, for example, by hands-on design challenges, and introduce them to the foundational concepts of AI. And this is good as it is, because they first learn about it and then apply their knowledge by teaching kids about the AI concepts. So it's hands-on experiences in AI, but still there's no relation to the working context of the mentors. I mean, the kids are applying that to their own community problems like waste reduction, but the mentors are just applying it but don't relate it to the context. So we are currently developing a tool that helps to contextualize what they've learned about AI by coming up with a chatbot that prompts goal setting and reflection alongside this AI family challenge. So during the mentor onboarding phase, the chatbot asks them to define and specify personal goals that the employees want to address during participation in this AI family challenge. And the chatbot then comments on these goals and suggests goals of other like-minded professionals to inspire and motivate. This is then also continued during the AI family challenge, but there the chatbot also prompts them to transfer the learnings to the own working practices and what it means and how it could be applied. In this regard, the chatbot again comments then the knowledge transfer and helps to link the professionals, the like-minded professionals within and beyond the organization, to discuss and make meaning about how this could be applied in their working context. So it's actually a way of explicating the value of the mentoring so that it can be better applied to their own working context afterwards. And this clearly increases the motivation of the mentors to participate several times in these AI challenges and help for the good to help the children to address their community problems. Clearly, it's not one or the other way, it's both. So engaging in training or taking part in training and afterwards engaging in self-regulation and reflection. And what does it mean basically to become AI literate for the society and for the workforce? In my opinion, it's building trust by understanding the technologies, because you know what is done in the background, you know how this is working. It's also increasing the acceptance of these new technologies. It decreases fear, as you know what can happen, what cannot happen, and it allows to leverage AI solutions. It helps to get new jobs, or there are new jobs upcoming, and these can then be addressed by the people. And as a co-creation is very important. You need to know a little bit about it, but then you can also influence what's upcoming in the future, so involve them. And these are just a few thoughts of what AI literacy could bring in the future if we help to educate our children in the schools, but also the workforce to understand what it all is about. Thanks.
Thank you, Sebastian. Really impressive and fascinating to see the current developments and innovations in the field of education and learning, which is really so fundamental and crucial, not just for the next generation, but also for our current generation, because without actually knowing and understanding and being able to apply it, you won't be able to reach your goals effectively. So, especially in the context of AI, I think it's really important to optimize these processes, because the field of AI can be very difficult to get a grasp on with all the terms being thrown around. So really great to optimize the process of increasing the AI literacy within our society. Thanks. Our next guest and speaker is Matthias Samwald. He is an associate professor at the section of AI and decision support at the Center for Medical Statistics, Informatics and Intelligent Systems at the Medical University of Vienna. He has research interests in AI and biomedical research and clinical practice, and also in clinical decision support systems for enabling personalized medicine and long-term strategic considerations at the interface of AI, IT, technological development, and health and society. Please welcome Matthias.
Yeah, so, hello. Since I'm the last speaker and we already had a lengthy time of people talking to you, I try to make it as quick as possible. So, yeah, as you heard, I have quite a wide variety of interests. Also a bit weird because I'm doing AI at the Medical University. What led me to do this kind of weird stuff? Well, I'm basically quite dissatisfied with the fact that people are dying needlessly as something that really is motivating me to drive forward research and development of new cures, new technologies for helping people treating diseases, making life longer, better, and more fulfilling. And unfortunately, medical science and clinical practice as it currently is really slow in making progress. So if we look at this graph here, this is the button, that's quite popular in portraying progress in the development of new therapies. We see here on the one side, here we have 5,000 or 10,000 new compounds, chemical substances, if you will, that look somewhat promising to treat something like Alzheimer's disease, cancer, and so forth. But out of all those interesting substances, if we then go through all of the stages of research and clinical trials, first in mice, then in a few patients, and then in a larger patient cohort, we see that most of these compounds never make it actually to the patients, never make it to a marketed product. And what we also see is that the process from basic research findings to actual delivery to the patients is a painfully slow process. It takes 15, 20 years in many cases for promising new therapeutic to really reach patients. In most cases, it never reaches patients. And this is one of the reasons why I'm so interested in artificial intelligence, because I think that it might be the necessary ingredient to really speed up progress in many disciplines of science and technology, and especially in medicine, which can, of course, make a huge difference for us or our loved ones down the road in 10 to 20 years when we maybe have some kind of health problem. And the point that I want to make is that I think that AI will have the most impact for speeding up the development of other technologies. So rather than applying AI itself for, I don't know, autonomous vehicles, personal recommender systems, of course all of this is fine and well, but I think most of the radical impact we see from AI will actually be how it speeds up the development of other new technologies. And I think this is partly driven by the fact that AI is, so to say, at the intersection of two types of technologies, two types of innovations that have outsized effects compared to other innovations. So what are these types? The one is called an enabling general purpose technology. And what would be such an enabling general purpose technology? Well, a kind of a specific drug wouldn't be one. You know, aspirin is fine and sandy, maybe you already have a headache because you have got so much information and it has what is very specific purpose, but it doesn't help you do lots of other stuff. This is different. Historically, we see, for example, the combustion engine, we had this one invention and down the road it led to a complete revolution in various different industries in all parts of human life. Then you have another kind of classification of technology called invention of a method of invention. This refers to technologies that help us in, so to say, making other inventions more easily and more quickly. Again, a combustion engine might not be an example of this, or a drug, of course, or aspirin doesn't really help you much. But, for example, an MRI machine or a microscope might help you in making many different other inventions. And the really thrilling stuff about the AI is that it is basically both of these two things. So it's very general purpose and it can also be employed for making new inventions faster and more efficient. So I put artificial intelligence here at the far out corner, along maybe with the World Wide Web or genome editing and things like that. And when we think about AI, I really suggest that we don't think about it just as a singular technology, but actually about how it is increasingly embedded in what I would call a hybrid intelligent system of sorts. And what I mean by that is that, of course, now we have what we're talking about, artificial intelligence. It's fancy, it's new, and everybody's talking about it. But of course, how this will make a difference depends largely also on how we integrate it with other factors of intelligence. On the one hand, human knowledge and decision making, and on the other hand, R&D processes, organizations, and societies, so the intelligence on a higher level where many people and their processes are part of it. And all of these different things interact. And based on this model, based on the thought that AI is so fundamental or can be so fundamental to help us make the world very, very different 10 or 20 years down the road, and also based on the fact that all of this is not just a single technology but interconnected in these highly intelligent systems, I think we would really stress that we need to find strategies to apply AI with the greatest leverage, the greatest versatility, and the lowest risk. So what do I mean by that? A more concrete example from the field of medicine. Well, we can think of AI, for example, aiding a doctor in making better decisions. You know, doctors do make errors all of the time. Maybe we think that AI would be very handy and impactful if we help doctors with treating patients better. And this is of course true. But then of course on the other hand you can say, well, actually, you know, even if we have the best doctor in the world, he or she can only work with the drugs and the therapies that are available right now. Maybe it's better to use AI for creating better therapies. But then if you look at this closer, well, the development of therapies is largely constrained by how much we understand of biology. How do we know what the brain is actually doing? We don't really know. So maybe AI should really help us more with, we should focus on using AI for that. But then, on the other hand, what can we do with the current research tools? If we have hardly any idea of what is going on in the brain because we don't see it. You know, only through the invention of the microscope are we able to peek inside the cell and see what's going on. And maybe actually what we really should focus on is developing these novel tools first before we actually can use AI for anything else. And actually, most of the benefit from AI will be creating these novel tools. And here we already have some kind of ordering of different interventions based on different leverage, from maybe already good leverage, but still limited, to something that could have a very, very high leverage number that could lead to many downstream processes. But you can even carry this further, you can be more general. For example, you could say that AI could actually be used generally for human intelligence augmentation, and then with one go you could actually address all of the problems above. Or you could then become more radical. You could think about autonomous AI that completely leaves humans out of the loop, and in the end you end up with a scenario that Elon Musk and others are so scared about, AI for developing better AI, some kind of recursive self-improvement. So this is of course very, it also gets very risky. So in the strategic analysis of what we actually should do with AI, we have to think about where do we have the best leverage, where do we have the most generality, but also how do we decrease the risks from AI, from misuse or from accidents. And as part of the work of my group, so we are doing lots of different things, in many cases also very applied research in AI for healthcare and life sciences. But what I'm now increasingly most interested in is this project that we created called the AI Strategies Project, where we are really trying to answer these questions and get this big picture of how innovations are made, how progress in the life sciences is made, and how these things that then apply to medicine create a big picture of all of these components of all of these systems, and then see how can AI be used in the most positive and the most impactful way to help us to save lives in here. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you a lot, Matthias. I think that already at the low level, there's a lot of optimization potential in the area of medicine, for example, with analyzing patient data and having better and more customized treatments once you tackle obstacles like privacy issues or bureaucracy. But also to not forget, and that's what I also like, this high-level strategic considerations about how to more effectively use AI and use AI to improve more systematic tools and mechanisms to improve certain things. So thank you for these insights and these considerations. Okay, so we heard a lot now and learned a lot about all kinds of different areas. And I would like to open now with the podium discussion and discussing and reflecting on a few general AI-related questions and hear a bit about what each of our guests has to say about it. So, the first question is pretty much very related to what we already heard, but even more specifically, maybe talking a little bit about the most promising application areas in the field that you're working in, and showcasing a little bit, explaining what the current main focus is and how the future might look like and what the obstacles are for current developments specifically in the application areas for your field. So if anyone of you guys would like to start, just grab the microphone and we can get into it. Okay, Luis.
I'm not sure, probably Sebastian can tell you more about that. I'm not sure if there is any real great application of AI in the field, in the education field. There was one, I remember one book from 2 years ago, I think it was the Northwestern University. You know about books, they are a massive open online courses. They have a lot of students, more than they expected. students, they have about 20,000 or something like that, and they develop one agent to answer the doubts of the students. And the success was that at the end of the course, no one knew if he was attended by a human or by the agent. Even there were some people upset when they realized, oh, so this teacher has been an agent, and you can find this information. I think it was the Northwestern University. I think these applications today are nice and good, but the most promising application I think that is in the educational field, in the learning field, I think they are still far away. They are few far away because I think there are many aspects that the part of the personalization I think is very tough. You can make an agent to, for example, to predict what is going to choose some guy in the university and all these things, but I think that we should try to test another technologies, maybe. So we have to stop to try to, I think we were discussing this morning, there are more things ahead in neural networks, and probably we'll have to try another solution in order to make a big leap from
Okay, Sebastian, would you like to briefly extend on that?
Yes. First, I think it's a question of what we understand under artificial intelligence. I mean, if we follow the definitions from the European Commission, for example, it's just a system that shows intelligent behavior by analyzing the environment and trying to come up with actions to solve a certain goal, more or less autonomously. If we take this decision, then it's not only about neural networks, yeah, but if we think about neural networks, then I would agree with you, there are only some use cases, for example, academic analytics. If you think about analysis of student trajectories, this can be used to adapt, for example, curriculums. So to design curriculums based on this information. If you then look at, for example, especially successful students or unsuccessful students, trying to understand how they made their way through their studies, or, for example, also trying to understand which professional specifications came out of that and which ways were taken, then this can be certainly a way for also having these neural networks trained on that and trying to come up with these patterns, understanding them. But at the same time, this is very dangerous. Because if you think about people doing their studies as side work, it could be understood as something bad than their trajectory, because it's not as straightforward as a student who can 100% focus on that. I would go on with learning analytics. Learning analytics is a field where neural networks not really play a role in every aspect. So providing insights based on learning traces and learning management systems like MOOC. I mean, you came up with a good example with a neural network trained agent. But recommender systems, for example, are used in learning analytics a lot to provide, for example, learning materials to scaffold the learner to reach the next level, or to link up peers that can support each other. So that's certainly a part where you can use statistical algorithms, but also neural networks underneath. Most of the cases you combine them in hybrid algorithms. And there's a big problem that in marketing, it's, I would say, more or less okay to manipulate a person. I mean, that's the goal, you need to sell something. But if you transfer this now to education, then this becomes a real issue. Because do you want to manipulate the development of a person? This is something where it becomes a bit questionable of how far you can go, how transparent this needs to be, and how this is then finally implemented. So there are many issues in that, and you need to be careful because it's the life of the future of the people that you manipulate them. So you should just inform and maybe help to make the right decisions. Maybe into more fields, adaptive reflection is what I was telling about beforehand. There are neural models, for example, for natural language processing to match up the like-minded individuals that can support each other. Chatbots are increasingly attractive, for example, student administration. So in America, there are several systems like AdminHub or AIDA, which actually try to help the students to make their way through their studies. But this is just focusing on recruiting, enrolling, retaining them, and advancing. So like helping them to find houses and stuff. I'm not involved with that, so I don't know the next challenges. I mean, that's an easy application of conversational AI. And maybe a last example, which I think is interesting, is intelligent tutoring, because I'm currently also involved in the digitalization of teaching and learning at the Graz University of Technology, and we have one project which is actually coming up with virtual laboratories. So if there are not enough places in the real laboratories, then there is the chance to, if you need to wait, to get into virtual laboratories. And something which is very interesting is, maybe you even know the lady Johanna Pöker. She's really a blast in this area, so if you're interested, look up Johanna Pöker. And what the team is actually right now doing, they call themselves Phantom 3D, and they try to do automated assessment and feedback in virtual worlds. So if you, for example, are in a chemistry laboratory and you're trying to do things, or actually you can display 3D problems like magnets and magnetic fields in these worlds. And then they can also do the assessment directly in there, like a tutor who helps you if you don't know how to go on, that gives you automatic feedback. And one of the challenges in the future, and also something that the ministry wants to support and finance, is, for example, assessment in virtual reality. So, examination in virtual reality. This is maybe one of the future things that is interesting.
So I would also be interested in a bit in the art perspective, because a couple of months ago I stumbled upon AI systems that were able to create very convincing musical pieces and even art drawings. So really curious about what our artist has to say about artificial intelligence systems, maybe superseding artists, or is there some kind of competition involved then, or could that happen that human agents compete with artificial agents? So what's your outlook on this?
Yeah, interestingly, I think with the rise of AI, there was a big upheaval in the art world, especially because with the advances, the technological advances in machine learning, and a kind of new breed of artists that was trained in programming, so actual engineers that started creating artworks. I think you all know Google Deep Dream, you all know these images that somehow popped up in the art world and were declared as pieces of art, being trained with pictures of Monet, where you could upload a photo of yourself and it would come out in a style painted by a famous painter. But I think looking back at the past years, we have come to a point where, at least in most of the art world, artificial intelligence is more seen as a tool rather than a creative entity itself. And I think there's a distinguishment in terms of how artificial intelligence is used. So the art that I'm mostly interested in, and I think the art that actually has a societal impact as such, is the art that tackles the topic of artificial intelligence in the sense that it raises questions, and questions that somehow impact us as a society on one hand. And on the other hand, I think there's art that makes use of AI as a tool to just create something new. But I think we need to draw a line a little bit between design and applications of AI that is just a mere copy-paste of things that have been there before. So for me, I think I'm at a point where I can say AI is a great medium to be used in the art world. It is a great tool to advance your strategies, to maybe, as in the example of Roman Lipsky, maybe find a new way to be inspired, to use it in a creative dialogue, to somehow advance your own practice. But I think to speak of an entire creative entity is somewhat absurd, to be honest. I think there was a lot of media hype created around it, and like it always is in the media, people like to paint a picture black and white a bit, but I think it's the gray zone that we need to focus on.
Thanks. Lastly, maybe hear a little bit about the aspect of big data analytics, which is of course also a huge field with personalization and recommender systems. Maybe you can outline a little bit on what the application areas are. Maybe there's more to it than just recommending people stuff or understanding user behavior better. Is there more fields of applications that you're working with currently?
I think one of the big challenges in